What's up, guys? It's Baby here, and today we're going to be looking at Sheeva's smash and grab variation. We'll start off by going over all the different pokes that this character has. We'll go into the combo strings after that, and then we'll take a look at the special moves as well. By the way, to let you guys know, the notation that I'm going to be using, I'll probably throw up on the screen, but basically, on the left side of the D-pad of the controller that you're using, left, right, up and down, and then on the right side, the attacks are going to be stand 1, which is going to be your front punch, stand 2, which is going to be your back punch, stand 3, which is going to be your front kick, and then stand 4, which is going to be your back kick. So on a PlayStation controller, that would be square for the front punch, triangle for the back punch, X for the front kick, and circle for the back kick. So let's get started. Starting off with our stand 1 right here. Stand 1, so all in all, stand 1 is a pretty straightforward move. 8 frames on startup. Got a +2 hit advantage on block. We're looking at, a -4 situation, so it's safe, but you can't really, try to steal your turn back unless the opponent's going to down one you, or who knows what to expect from your opponent right there. So now the great thing about this character is that she does have a jailing down 1. So, down 1, it's actually 7 frames, which is pretty decent, actually. On block, it's -5. On hit, it's actually +14 on hit, which means you can get the stand 1 guaranteed after a down 1 on hit. So your opponent does have to hold that standing 1 if they get hit by the down 1. So something super important to keep in mind. Also, the stand 2. The stand 2 actually is 10 frames right here. And, you can actually jail off of the stand 2 as well. So this is actually super helpful. The stand 2 is also a really good move. It's got an overhead at the end of its string. So if you do 2-1, then you're looking at, a nice overhead right there, which could open up your opponent, for some damage later. So something definitely to consider. Let's go into her back one right here. This is a really good move. 12 frame mid, old reliable right here. To me, this is kind of, this is kind of one of her best mids right here. Just because, it's got decent range, we're right about, just a little bit closer than sweep distance right here, so it's pretty far reaching. -5 on block by itself, but once again, it's a mid right there, and then this actually goes into a combo string later, which is going to be very pivotal for this character. So something definitely to keep in mind is Sheeva's back one's pretty good, 12 frame mid. Okay, let's look at Sheeva's forward 1. Forward 1 is a very interesting tool. This is actually a really good footsie tool, so this is round start, this is round start pressure right here for your opponent. It's a 16 frame mid, so a little bit slower than the back one, but it makes up for it by leaps and bounds, with the distance that it covers right here. So all in all, I think this is just a good poke. This is great for counter hits, so if your opponent's trying to press buttons, around here, and you see it coming, then go in for the, forward 1, and then maybe you can get a little combo after that if you want to get a little bit of damage right here. You can at least cancel it into a special for a little bit of cash out damage right there. So it's nothing crazy, but this variation, I would probably say, is the least combo intensive out of all of the 3 variations. So you don't really need to go crazy with the combos. You just need to go crazy with the ground pounds and the stomps. Yeah, forward 1, very good move. It's -2 on block. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but this is actually really good because it's a great way to get in on your opponent. So it's a safe way to get in. You're trying desperately to close the distance between you and your opponent. Maybe you've eaten a few fireballs and the life lead maybe is not on your side. So it's your duty to get in to try to open up your opponent a little bit for some damage and secure the round. Then forward one's a great way to just kind of rush your way in quickly, and then you can kind of go from there. All right, let's take a look at Sheva's stand 2 right here. Stand 2's pretty decent. It's a 10 frame high attack, -4 on block, and it really becomes more decent because of Sheva's down 1. Now, down 1 is really good on Shiva. It's 7 frames, which is, 6 frames is absolutely godlike in a game like this. Terminator has a 6 frame down 1. Shiva's got a 7 frame. It's fast. It reaches pretty far. And if you hit the opponent, you're at +14 advantage. Now this is fantastic because off of the +14 on hit, the stand 1 is guaranteed. And the stand 2 is guaranteed. So you really have the opportunity to initiate a nice block string after this to your opponent. Shiva is one of the best characters for hit confirming her special attacks, and we'll take a look at that as we go into some of the strings a little bit later as well. So down 1, really solid down 1. -5 on block, so once again, you're not, you don't want to go insane with this, but you will have a safe opportunity if you decide to use it. Okay, let's look at back 2 also. Back 2 is a very interesting move. It's a 2-hitting move. So you just press back 2 one time and it hits twice. It's a mid overhead attack, which is pretty good actually. +9 on hit if you attack the opponent with this, and then if they're looking at a block situation, then you're at -4, which is actually very decent. So this is a good string that you want to use if you're really close on the opponent. I typically don't go for this one because I just feel like back 1 is a little bit, we'll go into, when we go into the strings, I'll tell you why I like back 1 a little bit more than back 2. But back 2 is useful in certain scenarios, Back 2 is definitely useful in certain scenarios, and I think it's really all just about mixing it up with this character, So on a jump-in situation, then back 2 is definitely a banger for sure, 17 frame startup, so it's a little bit slow, It is kind of slow. You do have to worry about that. So okay, Sheva's stand 3. Man, what can I say about this move? It's high. It's -2 on block, which is actually really good. But to be honest with you, I mean, I don't know what to do with this move, I mean, it's a 14 frame startup. It's a high. It doesn't really go into any strings. So if stand 3 is just kind of like a standalone type move. 14 frame startup, which is not great for a high, I guess. I don't know, I just feel like you get more utility actually out of her stand 4 as opposed to her stand 3. I mean, it's basically the same move, the stand 3 doing 50% damage. Stand 4 actually does 70 damage and is 2 frames faster than the stand 3, and it's a high also. So in my mind, and then on block, the stand 4 is also -2. So I mean, in my mind, I just feel like, stand 4 is just the superior button to stand 3. I mean, they're basically the exact same move. So if you are looking for a move within that parameters, then I'd probably say go for the stand 4 over the stand 3, just because. So something to keep in mind right there. Oh, I guess the only other property is that stand 4 does knock down your opponent, so you know, it kind of creates some distance. So you may, you know, this may open up opportunities for some footsies and neutral mind games. After that, you could do the stand 4 and then maybe go into a down 1 or something like that. I'm sorry, forward 1, you know, to kind of close some distance. You can kind of touch the opponent from this area right here. So that might be some interesting gameplay for the stand 4. And I kind of actually just went over the stand 3 and the stand 4 at the same time because, you know, I mean, they're basically the same move. Okay, let's look at her forward 3. Now, her forward 3 is interesting. This is a meterless launcher. Meterless launchers in MK11, you know, are just a ton of fun. So, you know, this is a high attack, you know, which means that Baraka can just neutral duck this. So if he knows you're going for the launcher, he can definitely down 2 you into a crushing blow. So it's something that you need to keep in mind. But it's a great launcher though. You know, if your opponent's not expecting it and you want to do a whiff punish situation, maybe you don't want to use forward 1 to cover the distance for a whiff punish, maybe you want to get a little risque, then I would go for the forward 3. It's a 19 frame startup, but you're going to launch them in the air and then you get a full combo after this, you know. So looks something like I don't know if I can do it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, so you get a little bit of damage out of that move if you can't confirm it. I'm not sure why this anti-air doesn't connect though. That's a little bit weird. No, we'll take a look at that later. So yeah, forward 4, really good on block. Man, it's -9, so it's not crazy unsafe, but I mean, look where you're at on block with the opponent. So if they block it, I mean, you're at -9 and you're right up on them, so you will get down 1. You will get down 1. It will connect, you know. You may get down 4, you know, and be in a worse situation. You may get grabbed in this kind of scenario, you know. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful. I wouldn't recommend throwing this move out, well, willy-nilly, you know. So there's that. Her back 3. Man, this is one of the coolest back 3s in the game, in my opinion, right here. This back 3 is an overhead attack. It's a big boot, you know. It's similar, I don't know if you guys have ever played Mortal Kombat X, but it's similar to Goro's forward 4. It's just a big boot, you know, big lumbering leg overhead attack, which has a crushing blow at the end of it if your opponent gets hit with the counter hit or punish. I'm sorry. It's going to be a triggered if the opponent gets countered by from a low attack or a ducking attack. So if your opponent is ducking down and trying to poke or trying to sweep or do any type of other low move, and you punish them with this back 4, which is back 3, which is very viable, you can hold down that 3 for the crushing blow, and then boom, that's an easy 290 damage right here. Just watch that life bar melt. And it's also good because, you know, you don't have to get hit by the low poke. If they're in this range and they're just down 4ing or down 3ing, you know, if I set Baraka to you know, press some buttons here, you know, he's gonna try to, you know, get some range going. You know, you can kind of go in and, you know, outspace him, you know, in a lot of scenarios. You know, it's gonna be very hard to reach you, you know, because you'll be coming in from afar almost, you know, so you don't even need to really get close to the character. You know, you can just kind of pick your opportunity right there. So the back 3 is really good. Now it's slow. There's no way around it. This is a slow attack. 24 frame startup, but it is an overhead. And on block, we're looking at -5, which is once again insanely safe. I mean, this is just fantastic. It's not plus, but it's definitely safe though. So you can throw this out, and you'll still be okay. If your opponent's blocking this huge boot right here, I mean, it's so startling. You know, I find that opponents have a little trouble trying to punish an attack like this, because it's just a one button move. You know, a lot of the times the opponent's waiting for a block string to punish. So if you just kind of throw this out in the neutral right here, then it's cool. You know, you're good. Most of the time you won't get punished, and it's hard to punish. Like I said, it's -5, so you know, you're really in this kind of range. Something guaranteed would just be something like a grab or something. You know, so something to look out for while you're executing that move. Let's look at Sheeva's down 3. Down 3 is, you know, it's -4 on block. I mean, let me see if I don't know if her down 3 jails. I want to say it doesn't, but let me just double check for you guys. I feel like I tried this before. Yeah, her down 3 actually does not jail. So that's really the only reason why I don't use the down 3. I usually, most of the time, just try to go for the down 1. It's got, I don't know if it has better range. It doesn't have better range. It looks like her down 3 has better range, and it's a little bit safer, actually. So, you know, this may be a good move to use. I mean, down 3, it's crazy because it looks stubby. You know, if you look at her hand, it's very stubby, but if you see, I mean, there's just like a phantom hitbox there that just connects on Baraka. Look, the low fist is not even touching Baraka's kneecap, and yet the attack is still happening. So it has deceptive range. Meanwhile, you know, her down 1, you know, she's almost holding hands with Baraka right here. You can see that, and it's just kind of whiffing, you know. But that down 3 connects though, so the down 3 does have superior range, but you're not jailing with it. So I would urge you to be a little careful on using it. You know, so there's the down 3. Let's look at her back 4. Back 4 from Shiva is a really great sweep. Once again, you know, it's deceptively long reaching. I mean, this is round start right here, and it connects comfortably. I mean, you could back up a little bit and still connect it. I mean, I mean, this thing has got some tremendous reach right here. I find that this is an excellent mix-up, while incorporating the back 3 as well, which is an overhead. Both of these attacks are in the same range, you know, at round start. So the overhead low mind game out of these 2 attacks is really crucial when you're playing this character. She has kind of some stubby punch attacks, so I feel like her kicks really make up for that range that you're missing in those punch strings. Even though also there's some really good forward advancing block strings as well, which we'll go over. So yeah, I mean, I think the back 3 is really good. It's 15 frame startup, so it's fast. You know, -5 on block, so if you try to get in, you know, you're safe. You know, you're safe with the forward 1 on getting in. You know, I mean, you're just safe. You know, safe and sound, like that song goes. You know. So, you know, the back 3 is really cool. I mean, I'm sorry, the back 4 is really cool. I would recommend using it often, just because it is safe. Now, let's look at her forward 4. You know, forward 4 is actually her fastest mid attack. It's a 10 frame mid, and you know, man, it's a 10 frame mid. This character's got a 10 frame mid. You know, this is good for your jump ins, you know, when you know that you're going to be really close to the opponent. Hit that forward 3, you know. I mean, you know, that's delicious pressure that you want to take advantage of right there. So 10 frame startup, you know, +9 on hit. On block, it's -8, but you really don't want to just be doing just the forward 4. You know, you want to do actually forward 4/4, which is the string, but we'll take a look at that in a moment here. Forward 4/3, forward 4/4 3. You know, that gives you a little bit of safety right there. The forward 4 is just unsafe, also on hit. Looked like it was -10 actually. Yeah, so that's our faster mid. It's stubby. I mean, this thing is, look at this. You'd be better off down with 3, you know, than trying to use this forward 4 for any kind of assertive pressure. I mean, your opponent has to be right up on you, you know. I mean, this is a right up on you move, you know. Maybe if your opponent's like trying to pressure you, this may be a good like, hey, get back, you know, with just a little bit of mid pressure. All right, let's take a look at Sheva's grabs real quick too, because Shiva has some interesting grab game going on with this character. First off, you know, she got these 10 frame grabs. I mean, they're beautiful. And what I will say is this: her forward grab, give him a couple kidney shots right there, pushes them all the way full screen. Now this is fantastic, because in this variation, like I said, full screen is your friend in a lot of different scenarios. Her back grab leaves you directly on top of your opponent. I mean, you're right on top of them, so this kind of really leads to one of these situations. Like, this kind of reminds me of Garrus in the fact that, you know, it just leaves you right up on the opponent. So you have so many options after this. I mean, you can go into sweep, you can go into that back 3, you can start some block string pressure. I mean, you're just right up on the opponent, and you can just get crazy, you know. Okay, so I think those are all the oh, I'm sorry. Let's look at her down 2 as well. I glossed over her down 2 attack right here. That's what the crushing blow looks like. Down 2 is 9 frame startup. Man, that is a fast uppercut. 9 frames? You gotta be kidding me. -8 on block, but it's got significant pushback, so that's pretty safe, you know. I mean, you're not gonna be punishing the down 2 like that, really. On hit, of course, tons of advantage. You got the crushing blow off of it into a nice damaging combo. You know, I would say the problem with her down 2 is that, man, is it stubby. I mean, look at the short range on this bad boy. I find it whiffing a lot too, especially at a range like this where you want to use a down 2. I mean, when you think about characters like Jade, they're down 2ing from here, you know. I mean, Sheeva, I mean, it's very difficult for her down 2 to even connect. She's got some, I mean, it just whiffs sometimes because it's just so stubby. She's got other anti-air options that I think are by leaps and bounds way better. So you don't really, I mean, it's important to keep this in mind. In the clutch, it's 9 frames, you know. And you know, I take that back. This may be a good option for cross-up punishes. It has a pretty vertical hitbox, so if your opponent is doing like a, you know, is kind of like, you know, kind of cross you up, you know, trying to confuse you a little bit, you know, maybe the down 2 will be an option for you, but actually it's not really, because it doesn't really connect. Oh, actually, yeah, I mean, you know, look at that. Yeah, I mean, it's decent, you know. It's decent. As an anti-air, it still works pretty good, you know, but if you're too far away, that's not going to connect. Look, I mean, you know, you're right here, you know. And then if you're playing Baraka, man, Baraka's going to be jump 3ing all over the place, you know. I mean, the success rate with this is not great. I mean, I'm just walking up trying to punish it. I mean, that kick is hitting me. I mean, it's just decent. You know, it's just okay. It's not the best thing, even though it's super fast. It's also very stubby, so you just have to be cognizant of that trade-off. Now, off of her down 2, she does get a crushing blow. So if you do crushing blow your opponent, You can cash out for some nice big chunky damage. You know, so it'd be something like this. I mean, 433. 433 off that crushing blow down 2. It's pretty fantastic for 1 bar. So I think we've looked over all of Sheeva's normal attacks. So let's go ahead and dive in to her different block strings. For the most part, her block strings are some of the best hit confirms in the game. I mean, if you're new to learning how to hit confirm your block strings on reaction, then I would say Shiva is the one for you, because I mean, you just really have an opportunity to get good with practicing hit confirming with this character, because she has some really easy and practical strings to hit confirm from. Let's start off with her 1-2-1 that you see right here. You can't cancel off of that. As you can see, that last hit is a big splat. It knocks you full screen, which is good for this variation, because you know you want to zone in this variation. So full screen pressure is really good. You can go into some, you know, you can go into some things after that, you know, and just create some distance, you know. So 1-2 is fantastic. It's +9 on hit, but really, you know, this is one of those strings that you can confirm into a combo if it does hit, you know. So what I mean by that is this: I'm gonna set the AI to block a random combo, and as you can see, you know, if the opponent blocks, I can do something like an armored fireball for a little bit of block pressure. If they get hit, then I can go into the grab instead. So on block, you do the 1-2-1. Okay. And on hit, you do the actual grab, you know, back forward 4, which is going to give you a little bit of damage to finish off that combo string. So it's actually really easy to confirm. You just have to wait and see if your opponent blocks the 1-2 or not. It's pretty easy to react to. You get a long time to input that special command, you know, if they end up getting opened up by that, you know. Like I just reacted to Baraka not blocking right there, and was able to start executing a combo. So practice makes perfect, of course, but this is really what's going to make your character Shiva super strong in the long run, is hit confirming these different strings that she has. So yeah, like I said, 1-2, you know, on block, it's pretty safe. You know, you're not gonna have to worry too much, but you want to kind of stagger that and mix it up with, you know, the finisher, the 1-2-1, you know, go into, you know, 1-2 into fireball. Like I said, that meter burn fireball, and we haven't gone over specials yet, but for meter burn fireball, I mean, is, you know, on block, it's basically -1. It's basically puts you in neutral situation. So it's really good for just some block pressure, you know. So if they do block that, then you're at 0 at full screen. You basically just reset the neutral to round start again. And keep in mind that Shiva is actually dangerous in this situation, because when you're at round start, man, you can go into that back 3 again. You can go into the back 4 again. So, you know, she has options. You can go into the forward 1, you know, so she has options at this range. So, you know, resetting the neutral with this is not necessarily a bad thing, because it gives you an option right here. You can go for a mix-up if you really want to get crazy, you know, which I recommend you getting a little crazy when you're playing Shiva. I mean, she's got horns on her head, you know, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, 1-2-1, really good move, Deadly Quatin. This next move right here is the back 1-2-2-1. This is another really great hit confirmable string. This starts with her, oh, I'm sorry, let me just touch on the 1-2-1 again. You know, that down 1 jails, like I said. So this is a great opportunity. If you know that down 1 hits, you know, go ahead and hit confirm that 1-2-1, you know, hit confirm that next string. You know, that really just gets your pressure started. So off of that down 1, which jails. Now the back 1-2-2-1 is really good because it starts off with that 12 frame mid that we were looking at before, which is really fantastic. I mean, you want a mid like this. Here's what the full string looks like. You have to dial the back 1-2-2, all three of those together. You can't do just back 1-2. If I do back 1-2 like this, and you can see it on the screen on the left side, my inputs, I did back 1-2, but only one hit comes out. So you have to do back 1-2-2 for both of those hits to come out, and then of course you can end it with the circle if you really want to. You can also do back 1-2-2. Everything that we did for 1-2, you can do with back 1-2-2. You know, so the fireball pressure, you know, command grab on confirming the hit. This string right here is insanely easy to hit confirm. If you guys thought that 1-2 was easy to hit confirm, you're in luck, because back 1-2-2, I mean, is just the training wheels of hit confirming. You know, I mean, really, you have all day to see if your opponent gets hit by this. Just end it with that back 1-2-2-1, which puts you at -2 and puts you in this full screen. This mid-screen situation again, where you want to be at, like I said. So yeah, I mean, this back 1-2-2-1, I mean, this is great for hit confirming too. You know, one thing I will say about this move is that the timing for the cancel on it is a little weird, you know? That second hit, the second hit of the two, I mean, sometimes it comes out and sometimes it doesn't. You know, depending on how fast you hit that cancel. So it's just something that you kind of have to be aware of, you know. So yeah, back 1-2-2-1's really good. I mean, this is a really good pressure tool. Even the back 1-2-2, I mean, you're at -2 with just the back 1-2-2. So I would recommend just staggering this move often. You know, throwing it out in the neutral. You could throw it out at mid-screen like this because it's got some travel. You know, it's got some travel, so don't be afraid to just whiff that first hit. I purposely whiff moves all the time just to see if my opponent will press buttons, you know, and get hit by the rest of the string later on. So I mean, you know, don't be afraid to, you know, kind of do that, because like I said, you know, if Shiva gets in, you're in a -2 situation from here. You know, she's scary up here because she has the opportunity to start her grab pressure. You know, so. Okay, next string that Shiva has is going to be forward 1-4. This goes off of that forward 1 that we were looking at before. This is an uncancelable string. I mean, this is really just for getting in safely, you know. The forward 1 is safe already, but if you do forward 1 too much by itself, your opponent will be expecting that. So I recommend kind of mixing it up a little bit when you're coming in with this move. So forward 1-4 is good because it knocks them full screen, which is kind of what you want with this character, like I said, with a specific variation. But you can also do forward 1 and cancel it into fireball if you want some safe pressure. You know, on block, that's 0, you know. So forward 1 into EX fireball, that's some really decent pressure right there. Forward 1 is really decent pressure. Forward 1 into fireball, you know, forward 1 into forward 1-4, you know, for the full screen, and then you can start your zoning again if you want to go that way. So yeah, forward 1-4, pretty good. The next move I'm going to show you is Slam Dance. That's going to be 2-1-1. This is another one of those moves that just kind of pushes you all the way away. Standing 2-1 is good for opening up your opponent. I find a lot of opponents will block this string, you know. We'll get a lot of opponents that will stand block this string. And in this variation, you don't have the low grab to kind of mix this up with. So it's a little bit riskier to kind of throw this out, you know, just all willy-nilly. Just because, you know, if your opponent knows that you don't have that low option, then it's a little bit easier just to kind of wait for your turn to be over, and your opponent has a high chance of blocking it. You know, there's really nothing that's gonna kind of mix them up out of this string right here, this 2-1. So, you know, I would say, you know, once again, make this string safe by hitting that 2-1 into, you know, into EX Fireball. You know, if you do, if you are able to land this, you know, you can get some very decent damage off of it. I mean, we're looking at, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at 300 damage, you know, off of that 2-1 string right there. So, and it is an overhead too, so it will work sometimes. You know, I would say, you know, if you really want to mix it up, try to get your opponent to block low, you know. Get him to block low, maybe sweep him a few times, you know. Maybe pester him a little bit, you know. You know, a little too much. Like, oh man, this guy's really poking me. And then go for it, you know. Then you get a full combo after that. 2-1-1. This hit just kind of slaps them away. The last hit's a mid. You know, on block, it's -5. Once again, another safe option for Shiva. So definitely something to keep in mind. You know, all of these block strings I will use in conjunction with the character to make sure that they're solid. Yeah, 2-1-1, you know, this kind of throws your opponent away right here. This has almost the same hit advantage of 1-2-1. It's 30 on hit. Or actually, I'm sorry, 1-2-1's really good. It's 40 on hit, plus 40. This is plus 30 on hit, you know, which is great. I mean, but once again, like I said, just kind of knocks them full screen, which is really nice. So just a good pressure move altogether. Something safe to kind of end your string off and just keep your opponent guessing, basically. She's got some strings to keep your opponent guessing, and utilizing all of these and mixing them up is just going to make your gameplay a little bit more vibrant, you know. Once again, you know, this variation of Shiva doesn't really, you know, it's not like a combo heavy variation. It's all about the gameplay of getting your opponent in a situation where you can just assert your strong zoning, you know. So these kinds of strings play a really pivotal role in this variation in particular, the ones that knock your opponent super far back on hit, because they put you in a really good position to succeed with your zoning. All right, let's look at back 2-1-1-2. This is that back 2, this mid overhead attack. If you finish the string out, you can see right here, it ends with an overhead as well. That overhead hits sometimes. That overhead hits. And you can cancel this string as well. You know, I find these 4 hitting strings, the back 1-2-2-1 and the back 2-1-1-2, I find them very difficult to cancel. But I think it's just because you have to hit them pretty quickly in the beginning of the string. I mean, I had to hit this fireball immediately after I did back 2-1-1. I mean, I'm dialing it in fast as lightning right here, as you can see. You know, for it to come out. I'm just pressing it as quickly as I can. But it does work, though. You know, I personally don't like using the back 2-2-1 just because, you know, it's stubbier. It's probably her stubbiest string. It's not her stubbiest string, but I mean, it's kind of stubby. I much prefer the back 1-2-2 because the amount of reach that you get off of that 2-2 is just so good, you know. This nice forward advancing back 2-2. It's a little bit quicker. The back 1, it feels awkward sometimes, and it's a little bit of a slower startup too. So it's something to keep in mind. You know, you're losing the overhead with the back 1-2-2, but you know, to me, it feels a little bit more practical in a live event, in a live tournament match situation. Anyway, back 1-2-2. I'm sorry, back 2-1-1. 13 on hit. Yeah, I mean, it's just a slow startup, so it's a little awkward to use this close and that slow, you know? I mean, you just have to really be ready for it. I would buffer it with like a jump in or something like that. I mean, I think that's going to be the most practical way to use this. Because without it, you're just... I mean, without it, you know, you're just asking for trouble. But, you know, it's pretty safe on block. You know, we're looking at -6 again. I mean, we see a string here. We see a pattern with this character. She's got a lot of safe strings. Not a lot of plus strings, but a lot of really safe ones. So that's really good. Okay, let's look at Sheeva's back 2-4. You know, this is basically her splat away move. -6 on block. If you do get the hit on this, it does push away the opponent at 23 hit. You know, this move is, you know, underwhelming. And for the simple fact that, you know, back 2-4, I mean, is a mid overhead and then it pushes you away, right? The 2-1 is as a second hit overhead as well, and it comes out way faster. Even though the first hit is a high attack, if you jail off of it, then it's guaranteed, you know? So you still get that overhead. You still get all the benefits, you know, of this string, of a string of this type, without having to do that bulky back 2. I would probably say back 2 is probably my least favorite button out of Shiva so far, but maybe it's just because I haven't incorporated it into the gameplay as much, but I do feel like it's a little stubbier than the rest. I just feel like there's better options with the character. So yeah, I mean, I can't really see myself using back 2-4 in any kind of situation. I'm pretty much always probably going to go for the 2-1, you know, just to, if I want that overhead, or if I want that, you know, knock away, I'll just go the 2-1-1. In lieu of the back 2-4, which seems very similar. Okay, the last string we're going to look at is going to be forward 4, forward 4-4, 3. You know, this is a nice, once again, kick away attack right here if your opponent gets hit by it. If they block it, guess what we're at for block advantage. That's right, it's a solid -6. Now, if your opponent has a 6 frame down 1, obviously they can poke out of this, and it's guaranteed. But if they don't, then it's just some decent pressure, you know? This is a decent pressure string up close. You know, the 3 has really good range, you know? So you can kind of buffer it from over here. You know, that second hit's a mid right there. These are all mids, you know? So that is something to keep in mind. You can't cancel this string. You can cancel the forward 4. You know, if you want to get a little bit of damage, but this is a hard move to confirm. This is a move where it's going to be really tough to hit forward 4-4 and then try to do a special move after seeing if it connects or not. I mean, I think you're going to have an extremely tough time doing it, so I wouldn't recommend it. This move, I think it has use. The jump in, you know, if you get a good jump in on an opponent, you know, this is good for just asserting some combo pressure on that jump in attack as a block string. And you can use this in a combo in a very specific way too, and we'll take a look at that also. Okay, let's look at Sheeva's special moves. Now, this is where this character really starts to get very interesting. In the smash and grab variation of Shiva, she's got some very special and unique moves that I think personally makes this character very strong. If you're trying to do a zoning or anti-zoning kind of setup. Let's start with her Shokan Flame. 18 frame startup. I mean, this is a fast projectile. This is spammable. You're throwing this. If you throw this on screen quite a bit, I mean, you will get called a zoner. That's how good it is. Now, this is 12 on block. 12 on block? Okay, so 12 on block from full screen right here. Up close, I mean, you don't want to do this up close. But you do want to do the meter burn version of it. The meter burn version of this move not only does a grip of damage, I mean, it goes from 70 damage to 110, okay? But the benefits of this meter burn is if they block it, it's -1, which is very good. I mean, this is as close as you're gonna get in this variation of Shiva to solid, to like a plus frame situation. And it's not a plus frame situation, but it is the optimal situation for Shiva at this range. You know, once again, you can go into your pressure from here. So she's scary right here. So on hit, it's also really good because it pushes your opponent significantly farther back than the standard projectile. I mean, that's the regular projectile, and that's the meter burn. You're getting knocked all the way across the screen again. So the strategy really to use this move is to just keep on throwing the fireball, keep on throwing the fireball, and then when your opponent gets close and you know that fireball's about to hit, oh, hit him with the big one, knock him all the way back, and then just keep that morale low on your opponent's side. They can compete with some of the best fireballs in the game, so very, very good. The next move that Shiva has is going to be the Shokan Snag. This is the air grab. You know, she's got an air grab similar to Terminator, similar to Shao Kahn. It's a 10 frame startup. It's a little slow, but it's got good hitbox range. You know, Baraka's got one of the best jump attacks in the game. You know, he's got his jump 3. You know, he's got his jump 3, and he's also got his jump, whatever that is, jump down 1 or whatever. In this kind of situation, you can just grab him with this command grab. If you know it's coming, you can walk back and do it. You know, if you want to keep it real safe, they'll almost whiff completely. Now it's not, I mean, to me, this move showcases a read. You know, it's a little tough to react to this, but this Shokan Snag's good for a lot of different reasons. The biggest reason why this move is so good is because you can actually get a combo off of this. So if your opponent jumps in, I mean, you're looking at, first of all, it drops you right next to the opponent. 110 damage, drops you right next to the opponent, so you can start pressure again. If you meter burn it, you get a pop-up. Now this is ideal because you can do a combo extension from here. Oh. Yeah, you can get a nice combo off of that anti-air. So for 1 bar, you know, if you want to cash it out, you know, get a nice 25% damage anti-air combo off of your opponent's misfortune. So you're throwing fireballs, they want to jump in, and then boom, hit them with the anti-air, and then just kind of go from there. These two moves, the fireball and the air grab, really complement each other quite well. Same thing with the move that I'm going to show you next, which is the ground pound as well. Just because when you're throwing out a lot of fireballs and when you're going to be throwing out these ground pound attacks, you are going to have your opponent doing some things that they wouldn't normally do. One of those things is going to be jumping in. They're going to try to jump in on you because you're throwing a lot of, since you're throwing a lot of projectiles. And that is the perfect opportunity to snatch their ankles out of the air. So let's see here, movement, jump. Now I want to go over the crushing blow, because your opponent does have you do have a crushing blow off of this. If you meter burn it and hold the meter burn, and it does a pop-up again. So you can get a nice crushing blow off of it. The damage is insane. I haven't really figured out an optimal for this. You know, I'm getting 30%. You know? I'm getting a solid 30%. You know? You know? Then you want to do like a meter burn. You can meter burn 2 bars, you know, get 320, and then your opponent's moving for some chip damage. But this only activates if you do 2 air grabs in a row. So you have to land this one. The first one has to be a non-meter burned one, and then the second hit that you land has to be another Shokan Snap anti-air. And then you meter burn it, and then you get the crushing blow. So the ideal situation to use this in would be is if you're zoning, okay? I'm zoning the opponent. I'm throwing fireballs. Stay away. You know, they jump in, you get a combo. I'm sorry. They jump in, you get a combo. End the combo with a Shokan Snag to load up the crushing blow, and then if they try to jump again, then you really punish them a second time. And as you can see, you can just melt their life bar. I mean, half their life is gone after that, off of a bad jump in. So once again, like I said, you want to end your combo with the Shokan Snag to load up the crushing blow, and then wait. The next hit has to be another Shokan Snag, so you have to wait for your opponent and kind of see if they're gonna jump again. If they jump again, you're in the money. If they don't jump again, then, you know, you tried. So, all in all, the chances of your opponent jumping again after they get hit by combo is pretty slim, you know, but it can happen. It can happen, but this crushing blow is not amazingly practical. You know, it's not crazy practical. Okay, the next move that Shiva has is the Tremor move. This is another move that's specific to the smash and grab variation, variation 1. It's down, back 3, and it is an unblockable. So it's, you know, it's kind of a slow startup, kind of. I mean, it's 46 frames of startup. That's almost a second of startup time for this move. It's unblockable, like I said, staggers your opponent backwards, and if you meter burn it, it basically knocks them full screen. Which, as I've been reiterating throughout this guide, you know, knocking your opponent full screen in this variation is ideal. So you want to do the down back 3 right here. You can meter burn it. How do you utilize this move with it being so slow, you might ask? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it, you know. Obviously, you want to do it when your opponent least expects it, you know. So you don't want to go crazy with this move, but it does come in handy in the clutch, you know. You want to alternate with your fireballs, you know. Get them used to blocking the fireballs for a little bit. A lot of your opponents will try to short hop this, and they will short hop it, you know. So what I like to do to kind of fake out sometimes, I'll go for a short hop myself. The short hop actually looks surprisingly similar to, I mean, it's a good option to kind of fake out your opponent at full screen. So you do a short hop, throw a fireball, short hop, throw a fireball, you know, and then go into the unblockable ground pound, just to kind of provide a little bit of mind games full screen, you know. It's all about the mind games when it comes to this zoning. You got to get a little creative with it. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for Tremor. You know, it does a solid amount of damage, 100 damage on the meter burn. Off of regular hit, you're looking at 60 damage. I mean, it doesn't do a crazy amount, but it's super annoying. It's super annoying for your opponent, and it could make them uncomfortable. You know, with these unblockables, you never know how an opponent's going to react after they get hit by so many unblockables. Untamed Fury is the next move. That's this is basically back forward 4. This is Sheba's main ender for her combos. You know, you basically just want to end your combos with this every time. So a standard combo would be something like 2-1 into the Shokan snag, walk up, stand 4 into the back forward 4. And that's really just a dash, you know, on the before the stand 4. So dash, stand 4, and then to back forward 4. And then you land 288 damage right there. Now you can alternate this and do another 2-1, and this is a little bit easier to execute too. So if you want to do the 2-1, you're more than welcome to. You know, it's easier to execute, and you know, it's the amount of damage that it does is very similar to the stand 4. To me, it's almost negligible. So I mean, I would honestly, I like doing combos that I know are going to connect every single time, so I'll take the slightly less damage for the consistency of that, of ending. But anyway, I digress. Going back into Untamed Fury, which is a combo ender right here, as you can see, it knocks the opponent. It does knock the opponent at a pretty good distance right here. You know, almost mid-screen again, a little bit just out of jump range. But if you meter burn this move at the very end, not only do you get a little bit of extra damage, but it has a special property where if your opponent is moving after the attack, then it causes bleed damage. So I'm going to set the opponent to jump forward. Okay. I'm going to do a combo. Oh, let me get my full bar loaded up here. I'm going to do the full combo, meter burn it, so I get the bleed damage. And as you can see, look at Baraka's life bar. Every time they jump, they just eat a significant amount of damage, and that lasts for a few seconds right after they start moving. So this is another situation where this move works really well for the synergy of the character, because you get that extra chip damage. If you get a combo on this opponent right here, obviously they're not going to want to move forward. You're going to zone them in this variation. So zoning them is good because it's going to force them to try to move, and then you can kind of cash out on some of that extra bleed damage from them. You know, you can kind of get them to panic a little bit. So you know, these kind of things go really well together. There's a lot of good synergy with these special moves, in my opinion. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's just the main combo ender for the variation, and you can go into regular strings with this too. So off of what I was talking about before with hit confirming the stand, the 1-2 or the back 1-2-2, you know, you can go any one of those into this move. So if I did a 1-2 into this grab right here, you get 21% damage, 211 damage, and if you meter burn it, you get the bleed damage on the opponent. So, and that's all unbreakable, by the way, which is very valuable. You know, there's no opportunity for your opponent to break away at all out of this. You know, so so that's actually a really good benefit that this special move has. Okay, this has a crushing blow as well. I don't know if you guys saw it earlier, me getting that just a little while ago, but I'm gonna set the opponent to breakaway right here. Basically, you know, you get the crushing blow. Okay, let me back up. This back forward 4 is so good that not only does it grab, but it also is the breaker for the breakaway. It also breaks armor, meaning that this back forward 3, if your opponent tries to break away during the combo, they have to eat a crushing blow. triggers if this attack is a punish or breaks armor. So if it's punish, it works also. But if you're breaking armor, that's the main scenario where you want to use it, because that's where you're going to get insane damage. So say you get a combo on your opponent like this. They decide to break away, but oh wait, you go for the breaker. Suddenly they've eaten 462 damage, and they're questioning their entire game plan. So yeah, there's that. Drag and drop is the next move, and this is the classic Shiva Stomp. I mean, we've seen this stomp before. It's back. It's back in the game, and man, is it good. We're looking at 100 damage, 10% of your life if you get attacked by this stomp, and you will be feeling some kind of way after this. It's a 12 frame startup. This is fast, guys. That's fast. 12 frame startup, and if you hold stance switch, which is this switch button right here, L2, you can hold it up in the sky and actually delay the stomp. So if you want to mess up the timing just a little bit, oh, you can kind of delay it right here. Now, your opponent has the opportunity to avoid this. It's actually pretty easy to avoid, you know. So if I do a stomp on my opponent right here, all I have to do is wait till I see the screen shift right here, and then backdash. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're looking at a full combo punish for that, you know? You don't want to do it too much. You don't want to get crazy with this, you know? Unless you'll feel the wrath, unless you want to feel the wrath of Baraka on this stomp. Now, another reason why I really love this variation of Shiva is because in this variation, you can actually control the direction of the stomp. So not only can you land right on top of them, but if you're anticipating the opponent moving forward or backward, you can stomp in a different direction, you know? To me, this ability to do this makes this stomp way more viable by leaps and bounds. You can delay it. You can delay move it wherever you want. I mean, you have a lot of options when it comes to that. It really opens up the gate for you, and it doesn't make it as cut and dry to punish. So to me, I think that really helps bolster this variation zoning by having the ability to change the direction. It's basically just holding right or left when you're up in the air to change which direction you want to go. And of course, you can just always land right on top of them if you want to. Now, another cool way to use this stomp, instead of just throwing it out in the game, is to try it with some setups. It is day 3 right now with this variation, and of course we have yet to discover all of the different setups that this character has. But so a standard one would be like, you know, 2-1 anti-air grab, and then you can end with a setup like that. The forward 4-4 actually comes in surprisingly well and handy for canceling into the drag and drop or the telestomp, you know. So once again, you want to do that anti-air forward 4 into that. So the opponent eats 233 off of the initial combo. If they miss the guess on their wake up, then they eat an additional 100 damage. So you're looking at a 1 bar for about 33% of their life, which I think is really good. And then, of course, consider that you can also delay this, too. You know? You want to delay it a little bit? Oh, here's a little bit of mind games. You know, you want to maybe consider ending with the stomp in some scenarios, just to mix it up a little bit. So, the drag and drop is also great because it does have a crushing blow. Another fantastic crushing blow. This is universal with all Shivas. And basically, all this has to do is connect 3 times. So you connect it 1 time, meter burned or non-meter burned, it doesn't matter. The third time you connect it, it has to be a meter burn. And then you get a crushing blow for 320 damage. Now, these stomps have to hit consecutively, so they don't have to hit back to back to back, but they have to all hit 3 times. So you have to have 2 hit telestomps. If I miss one, then I have to start over from 0. So 1, and then if I miss one, then I have to start over again. So I have to do 1, and then do it again, 2, you know, maybe do a block string, and then go into my 3rd one. And then that's when I'll get the crushing blow off of this. So as far as usability goes, I've landed this pretty often on opponents playing this character. So, you know, the stomp is just one of those moves that, you know, I feel like once people learn it a little bit better, they'll get more comfortable with avoiding it. But you never know, man. These telestomps, you never know what goes down with these moves. So you have to be careful. All right, last special move is going to be Sheva's Fatal Blow. This is battered and broken, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Punch Walk is back in action. This time in the form of Fatal Blow. So you hit the Fatal Blow, that's going to be your block button and your stance switch together. As you can see, she has a 4 hitting, it's a 4 hitter, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it travels full screen. So, I mean, I'm as far away as I can be with the opponent, and it travels full screen. That doesn't mean that it has armor for the entire full screen. The armor gives away right about there, you know, but it does go full screen right there. So this move is really useful because of the travel on it. You know, it's an armored move that travels quite a bit. So if your opponent gets clipped with it, I've had a lot of scenarios where the opponent just doesn't want to block, you know. They don't want to block these strings, you know. So I'll go into a block string, into a Fatal Blow like that, and it just works, you know. Just throw that bad boy out. Now it's negative on block. I mean, you're looking at negative 21. It's got a little bit of pushback, but I mean, you will get punished. You will get punished. So, you know, Fatal Blows are a dire situation to use them. So you just want to be careful about when you're going to be rolling out this Fatal Blow. But it is a good one. It is definitely a good one, for sure. And of course, really easy to get into a combo as well. You know, trade off any ender into Fatal Blow for a big damaging combo situation. Okay, let's talk. You know, now that we've basically explored all of the moves for Shiva, let's just kind of talk about the general game plan for the smash and grab variation. You know, I've gone through all the special moves and the strings and kind of a basic way to use the character. But for the most part, just to kind of recap what her playstyle is for this variation, I mean, you're just zoning. You're doing a lot of anti-zoning. You're doing a lot of gimmicks, but you're gonna veil those. You're gonna veil this apparent spamming with you're gonna reinforce that with really safe strings, you know. So although, you know, this variation actually requires you to just kind of lob these fireballs all over the place and do these unblockable ground pounds, you want to veil the rest of your moves with safe strings, which Sheva's really good at. You know, as long as you kind of stick to the strings that she has available, then you're going to remain fairly safe throughout the entire match. Like I said, she's got a lot of safe options, you know. So you want to play her right around this range. This is where it's going to be hardest for your opponent to hit you with a down 1 or a down 3. or any kind of move at all. And this is where Shiva thrives, with the back 3 and the back 4. I mean, this is the entire game right here. I mean, it's just got tremendous range. Up here, when you're in this range right here, in this variation, you're going for grabs. The back grab's gonna keep him close, but you know, if you're in a situation where your opponent has about 30% life left, hey, go for the forward grab. You know, throw him full screen, and then throw a mid fireball their way and have him hold that. You know, have him hold that block. Just keep him away. So yeah, you want to play around this range for neutral. Up close, you want to focus on grabs and also jailing with your down 1. And then at full screen, you want to utilize your fireballs, ground pound, and of course the telestomp, which is good for punishing projectiles, or if you see your opponent in the air, it's really good for opponents that have air projectiles. If you're playing like a Cabal or Cetron and you see that they're about to fly up in the air and try to gain some semblance of safety, you can really invade their space with the telestomp in that kind of situation. Okay, let's look at some corner. Let's look at some corner stuff with Shiva as well. And like I said, corner, I don't have as much experience yet. Like I said, this is fairly new character that just came out. But she does have some meterless launchers in the corner, one being her forward 3. So if you are feeling a little frisky, you know, you can always go for that forward 3. The combo would be forward 3, down 1, 1, 2, forward 3, down 1, 1, 2, anti-air, meter burn, stand 4 into the back forward 4 for the ender. Now you can meter burn that too if you want to get that bleed damage, but you don't really need to, you know, if you don't want to, but you can. If you just want to keep it 1 bar, that's fine too. You still get a really good cash out of damage if you decide to keep it on 1 bar. Now you can also do another meterless launcher in the corner off of her back 1, 2, 2, 1. So that actually launches in the corner as well. The timing is a little bit strict, but you can get a down 1 after that. So it'd be down 1, same combo I just did before. Down 1, 1, 2, into the grab, stand 4 into the back forward 4. Off of the 1 bar, you're looking at 333 damage if you do execute this. Now, to me, this is actually a really good move to use in the corner because it's just a lot of blocking. You know, if your opponent lets go block for any reason, you have all day to hit confirm that once again. And honestly, to make it easier, to make the combo easier, if you're having trouble doing the 1, 2, because the timing is super tight on this, if you're having trouble doing the 1, 2, you can always just do down 1 into the back 1 like that. It doesn't do as much damage, but it's pretty comparable. You're only losing about 10 damage. You're losing 1% by not doing the stand 1, 2 after the down 1. And then of course all of the regular combos work as well. All of your standard launchers work in the corner also. She doesn't really have any combos. You know, some characters have like combos where you can do like multiple down 1s and multiple stand 1s in the combo. She doesn't really have anything like that. You know, it's just pretty straightforward. It's the down 1 into 1, 2 and into the anti-air with this variation. With other variations, the combos are going to be different because she has different launchers with those other variations. But for this one, that's going to be kind of like your standard. And 330 damage is not bad in the corner. You know, for a character variation whose primary focus is zoning based. So I think that the damage is pretty decent, all things considered. Okay, actually, the last thing we're going to go over is going to be her up 2 and up 3 attacks, which I actually kind of glossed over. And I'm not sure how I glossed over those, but, you know, it's just one of those things. Shiva's wake up 3 is actually a grab, but it's not an unblockable grab. You know, it's just a mid, you know. It puts your opponent in a stun state. So it puts your opponent in a stun state. So you're at -15, which is basically the advantage you get off of a down 1, you know. The only problem with this is actually it kind of has a little bit of pushback, so you don't really have the same options. I mean, I don't know, you may have the same options, but I don't know. To me, there's a little bit of pushback right here, so it's a little bit harder to... You kind of whiff that first hit, that stand 1. So, I mean, for this range, you may want to consider, you know, maybe doing like a back 3 or something like that. Maybe giving yourself a little bit more space, you know. Up 2 is the up 2 from MKX's Goro. So she has the same up 2 as Goro does in MKX. Leads into a nice big chunky combo right there. So, you know, we're looking at about 300 damage for a wake up punish, you know, on the character. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like with a flawless block too. We'll look at a good flawless block combo for the character. Ooh, wow, that doesn't even work. So this is 1 bar right here, which is the flawless block bar. You get 200 damage. If you want to burn both bars, you can. Yeah, if you want to burn both bars, you can. So you can get that 300 off of a flawless block punish, if you really want to. If you're just trying to end out the round, you know, if you're just trying to end out the round, then this is a good option for you. Oops. Oh. The only thing is you want to replace the 2-1 with a stand 4. You want to replace the 2-1s with a stand 4 in this up 2 launcher, because the gravity is weird. The 2-1 will no longer connect if you try to do the 2-1 into scum grab, or I'm sorry, the air grab. So you need to be doing stand 4 into air grab, and then another stand 4 into back forward 4 to execute the combo correctly. You may be able to do a 2-1 at the very end as an ender, but you don't want to start off with it. You don't want to start off with it in the beginning of the combo on a flawless block combo. Yeah, you can still end with the 2-1 if you want to. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking a look at Smash and Grab Variation 1 Shiva with me. Please make sure to hit the like if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more Mortal Kombat 11 content. And happy stomping.